start that over with the mic on.
Oh, yes. There I go, messing up. We'll call this meeting to order. We'll start with roll call.
Commissioner Beers?
Here.
Commissioner Krantz?
Here.
Commissioner Goodson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rayom?
Here.
Chairperson Tamori?
Here. So we'll now go ahead and stand for the flag salute. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we have one presentation tonight, and been anxiously awaiting this for a couple sessions. So this is from the Butte Artist Mural Association, which is called BAMA, and it's on the website under that name if you're ever interested in following murals and some of the art activities that are being promoted throughout the area. So Beatrice is our speaker. I'd like to welcome her. And you can go up to the microphone and then you say your name and then go ahead and do your presentation. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I did want to thank you for formally inviting me, and I'm very happy and pleased to be here today. Thank you, David, for inviting me formally. So my name is Beatrice Richer, and I am the director of the Butte Artist Mural Association. Essentially, it's a loose collective group of professional artists, but also novice artists throughout Butte County. I communicate a lot with prominent mural artists throughout Chico, Paradise, Oroville, Durham, and other locations. I also try to keep in contact with a lot of galleries, such as Brushstrokes Gallery in Oroville, the Paradise Arts Gallery, the Chico Arts Center, and the Museum of Northern California Art in Chico. Sorry, I'm not used to this. So the primary purpose of this association is really beautification projects, highlighting local artists and sort of informing the public as to how murals are developed. We also do a lot of education for younger children so that they get more involved in public art projects, either as artists themselves or organizers of those projects. And the reason that I'm here today is to discuss how murals are sort of budgeted, some ideas for Oroville specifically as a city, the county seat, why it could be a cultural center, and also ways to finance and budget murals in the future. So the first page that I have on screen is actually just an overview of the association. It's very long-winded, and I spent a lot of time writing it, but that is what it is in summary. And you can go to the next page. I'm a little bit tall for this microphone.
You can stand back and it will touch you.
Oh, okay, perfect. Is that okay?
You can, it picks up your voice if you just stand.
Oh, okay, perfect. Sorry about that. So as I listed on screen, like there is a pretty big relationship between Oroville and public art, especially from a historical standpoint. Oroville has a huge history and impact in California. You know, you have like a history of like gold mining. You have a native history that's present here. You have a lot of immigrant populations that have come throughout the years. And this is something that is already reflected in your public art in a lot of the murals and sculptures. But it is something that we would recommend that you continue pursuing. We also believe that like this helps a lot with the embetterment and the beautification of the town as it already is. And you can keep scrolling down from there if you'd like. And that's just sort of like an idea of like how we embetter and beautify towns using murals. And then you can go to the next page. So this is sort of the important part. The association and I did actually a lot of research on this, and the way that we conducted this research was looking at specific articles of other cities and towns and municipalities that put money into mural projects. I also surveyed most of the murals in the counties, and I identified which ones were funded by city grants, which ones were funded by private commissions, meaning a client with an individual artist, and which ones are actually done by volunteers out of goodwill or out of, just charity and community events. A good deal of the public art that is produced in Butte County is done through volunteer work and private commissions. And this is pretty significant because around the country, most of the public artwork is done through city grants. Additionally, city grant type of artwork is the type of artwork that drives tourists in. And the reason for that is because cities have a better idea of how to represent the face of themselves and attract visitors. And after also conducting this research, what we discovered is that what drives people into Butte County is really much, and you can like scroll down a little bit, sorry. Just because sometimes I mix up my words. A little more, next page. So there is agro-tourism, is what's called, or agritourism, and what that is that it's agriculturally based tourism in Butte County. That is the #1 source of attraction for tourists and locals alike in terms of doing local events and spending on the economy. So that was one thing. And then the second thing that was pretty important was historical preservation. So referring back to events or figures or people in history was a really key point in attracting people to a certain place and having them interact and spend money in small businesses. And then you can continue going down. These are pretty much all numbers, but I felt like it was important to highlight them. Yeah. So as you can see, it's pretty significant. And the last page is pretty much like the meat of what we're gonna get to. And that's kind of what I said, is that investing in more public art reflects agritourism and historic preservation. That is the way to actually improve local economies, especially in Oroville. So I added like some themes or places to consider in conjunction to the research that was developed. And then you can go to the last page. All right, so this is the meat of the project, and it's investing in mural artists and like what local communities can do to help murals. So from what I understand, there is a common problem in smaller towns of investing in one large project with a huge sum of money, hoping that this is like the best way to draw in tourists, locals, and really highlight a town. This is not necessarily a bad thing. There's no such thing, in my opinion, as bad public art. But it's actually better to divide city grants so that you invite more artists and more diversity into your town. And the reason for that is because you can cover a lot of wall space, and it actually draws attention when there's more action being built up. Some examples are in Tehima and Red Bluff specifically. There is a group called Tehima Creatives, run by Heather. She's a lovely lady. And they've actually improved the economy simply by inviting artists to do several walls for a very low cost. And the way that this sort of group functions is they start off with a very small amount of money dedicated by the city towards a specific project, and they all mutually come together to work on it. And whatever money is made from an event surrounding the creation of that mural or that sculpture is promoted to the next project. So it's kind of like a wheel where it's like you start with one project and then it sort of reinforces the next one. And that's kind of the power of hosting art events, festivals, or just community gatherings of artists in a city, as opposed to just having an individual artist do one big project. Because what happens is that you'll have like a hype for a very short period of time. And it's again, it's wonderful and it's great, but it's very short lasting and it's more like a spurt. So yeah. Additionally, I sort of added ways to invest in mural artists while keeping within a budget. One way to do that is actually to invite newer artists or people who are a little bit new to the mural world. There are a lot of young, talented people in Oroville. As I've seen in David Tomori's own classroom, there are really, really talented kids out there who would be capable of doing mural art just given the resources and the opportunity. And one way of actually encouraging them to do that is to, give them like a short grant or an opportunity, which we call a call for artists. Sometimes it's just like 1K, 2K. And that sounds a lot when I say it out loud, and it is. But for an arts grant, it's a very small portion usually of the grant funds. So that really does encourage kids to come out. Additionally, our association, young people can reach out to us, and we give them resources on how to budget themselves when it comes to making a mural. We give them ideas on how to prepare walls, and all of this stuff comes from professional mural artists like myself or bigger names out in Chico. My apologies. So yeah, what else? The more the merrier. Yep, so opting for smaller individual wall works over large-scale projects. That is a great way to keep in budget. And another important point that I missed was another way to keep within budget is for the city to actually expend on preparing wall space ahead of time before inviting an artist or commissioning an artist to do a work. And the reason for this is if the city spends money on preparing wall spaces, what I mean by that is like fixing up plaster, brick work, just smoothing the wall out for the artist ahead of time. If you do this on multiple walls at once, this will actually expedite the process of the art being placed on the wall, and it will actually decrease the budget for the artist overall, as opposed to just allowing the artist to set a certain, how do I say that, like a budget sheet related to them having to fix the wall. So it saves on time and it saves on money. What else could I kind of come up with here? Yeah, should I ask if there are any questions? Yeah, any questions? Sorry, I'm not used to talking on a mic.
I don't have any questions, but that's some out-of-the-box thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I did put a lot of you saw all the words and the stats and the numbers, and I know it can seem a little daunting, but the purpose of that is to really showcase that myself and other artists really looked into how artwork works, how it can be used to impact the economy in a positive direction. So, like I said, this is just our homework type of stuff to allow you to see that we do take this stuff seriously, and we know what we're talking about when it comes to mural art and funding them. So, yeah. So I hope that was sort of not too informative. But like I said, if you have any questions about the mural art or what we stand for, we do have a website called buttemurals.org. That's BUTTEMURALS.org. On there, you'll find the mural map and everyone who is associated to the association. Thank you.
Hey, so,
yes.
Mike.
okay, sorry. Didn't you do a little, some photographs of some of the different murals in Oroville?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are actually available on the website. So if you go to Butte Murals, there's an Oroville section, and you can pull it up if you'd like. I don't know if you have.
We'll pull it up right now for
Sure.
the commissioners.
Yeah.
And then what about vandalism protection? I know.
That's an interesting question.
Well, there was a sort of coding that Ted Hansen mentioned that he used on his murals. I thought that might be did you have any experience with that, or?
So did he mention a specific coding he used to prevent vandalism? Is essentially what you're asking?
Well, I think what he did was they put a varnish, and then they put a acrylic, so you could wash off the acrylic, and then it saved the varnish, or it was backwards or forward. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I know that there are certain varnishes that are able to sort of buff out certain things without damaging the original piece of work. Usually they're quite expensive, and you'll still get a little bit of something that you'll have to fix later on. When it comes to preventing vandalism, there's not much you can do, but on a positive note, vandalism happens less if you do art which is, first of all, beautiful and it reflects the community. So I know that the percentage of vandalism on these types of works does decrease if it's something that people generally consider beautiful. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds funny, and it sounds kind of oh, there's nothing we can do about it, but at the end of the day, if somebody does want to destroy property, it's going to happen. Yeah. And there's not much you can do about that other than, taking precautions. And I think adding public lights is another way to sort of prevent that from happening. So if you do put your mural in an area where there's more lighting, that will prevent vandalism.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people are scared of lights, so. Oh, and up on screen is actually the mural map. Right now, it's just something that's accessible through Google Maps, but we have pretty much every single piece of public artwork available on it. I'm hoping to develop this more into like its own cohesive app with QR codes and everything like that, but I'm still trying to get the funds for that going, so. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you were actually working on the QR, the codes for our murals. We're still working on it.
We're still working on it.
But I mean, it's there.
But it's a project. It's in process. And you know, there's so many new works of public art, especially after the summer period when people just start painting on the walls everywhere. Sometimes it's like I have to keep stalking people on Facebook just to know what's going on. But yeah, no, it's great. And you'll actually notice that like there is a lot of public art in Oroville when you kind of zoom over it. And not only did I include murals like as the orange pinpoints that you see there, I also included cultural centers or centers of interest. The reason I do that is because usually there's art surrounding those centers or it brings people towards those locations.
Do the ones in Chico, do they have a mural map or brochure at all?
Like it's like a printed brochure of the map. I don't have printed versions of this map yet. I know that the Chico Art Center has like an art walk map that's available.
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah, so they have like a little art walk thing that is specifically for downtown Chico. I'm actually communicating with Daniel Donnelly, so the teacher at Butte College. We're hoping to have illustrators work on like individual downtown maps just featuring artwork. So similar to stuff that they already did, but I kind of want to bring that to Oroville, in my opinion, just because there's so much mural art out here.
Thanks. Commissioner Krantz?
Yeah.
And do you typically work with the city for the prep aspect of it? Do you advise in terms of repairs or locations before the city would start doing any prep? Are you like a consultant that way?
Me personally, no. But I do work with artists who do that with their own cities. Jess Mercer up in Paradise does, she does communicate a lot with the city of Paradise when it comes to advising on which materials to use, which are preferable for example, on a wall that's facing the sun all day, you do need specific sealants and protectants for that. But usually it's a pretty like standard list of materials that you need for each mural. It sounds kind of complicated at first when you're not used to it, but it's the same thing as like painting outdoors or indoors.
Okay.
Yeah. A good way to sort of, just to expand on that, if you're hoping to make a mural on an older building, that's when it gets a little more complicated. So there is a preference for targeting buildings which are a little bit newer, buildings that are not just straight brickwork, because that's very challenging. Not just for like fixing the brickwork, but painting on it. So making a design for brickwork is very difficult for mural artists, but it can be done. Yeah. Any other questions? And I'm sorry if I speak very quickly, so.
Do you ever think that a city can have too many murals?
No, I don't think so. May I ask why you asked the question?
I'm a visual learner, and so, you know, I've been places that, to me, in a concentrated area, it's just clutter to the eye.
Right. I think that that effect kind of happens in like larger cities, especially because they have like such a huge fund to just invite these artists from all over the place. There's more vandalism, there's more busyness and lights and stuff like that. To answer your question though, I don't think that there is the possibility of too many murals, but there is the possibility of putting murals in the wrong locations.
Place.
Yeah. So having just them on all sides of every street corner is perhaps not the best idea. You want to have this flow where the public can walk around and sort of come to see the piece on their own terms. It's kind of like if you went in an art gallery and then all the paintings were just cloistered around you as opposed to on each separate wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
No other questions. Thanks so much for your time. I know you had to drive out here.
No, thank you for
It's
inviting
always
me.
good to see you, Beatrice.
Yeah, it was very nice to see you. And again, if you'd like to refer more to our association, what we do, buttmurals.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beatrice.
So, moving on to approval of August minutes. Any
So moved.
moved by Commissioner Goodson and
Second.
second by Commissioner Krantz. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have to vote? Yeah.
Motion carries.
Oh, there you go.
Motion carries with 5 yeses and 0 nos.
Well, next order of business is we have some beautification funds available. So you want to.
So it's a good segue from our
Yeah.
conversation. Thank you, Beatrice, for coming. But yes, we are looking to the commission this evening for possible release of a new NOFA, which is always exciting. Staff is suggesting the release of $40,000. Right now in our fund balance is a little over $91,000. You can see that down the fiscal impact on our staff report. We have allocated $50,000 of that to go towards the art wall. We can discuss that. I believe that is later, that we can talk a little bit more about the art wall as well. With the remaining balance of $41,392.46. So we are suggesting the release of $40,000. We wanted to bring it to the commission tonight to maybe discuss other options. I know we had a presentation on murals, but we do have a lot of murals, and we were thinking of, we wanted to brainstorm with you guys to see what else you'd like to see, or if you want to put it out for one area specific or one item specific. We just wanted to see your thoughts on how we could spend this best possible way.
And I think
So
to add
just-
to that too, in the past we've done concentrated areas and we've done citywide. We have not narrowed our scope to a specific style of art, but depending on the dollar amount, that scope has been, or the applications received have been broad varieties of art. As we just had a mural conversation or presentation, we were looking maybe to try something different, maybe sculptures or other applications of artwork, and then maybe even come back next time towards a mural dedicated project. So sky's the limit with a $40,000 cap.
Yeah.
So I'd like to start the discussion on that. But I'll let. We were thinking, yeah, sculptures might be another area that we haven't pursued. But in the past, we did do one for performing arts, and kind of controversial in a way. I had one community member say, can you use public funds to hire some people for a kind of a fundraising event? So it kind of was I don't know, an area that I didn't feel, I wanted to see how you guys felt about it. We had the bands for the downtown farm to table event.
The First Friday events.
And they were, it was paid for by our beautification funds. And it's always been my concern that they're really nice and they do inspire kids, but it's like a one and done kind of thing, and then it's just gone, where we don't have anything concrete to show for it other than the memory. But that's just me, and it's always been a concern. So when we're discussing ways to use this $40,000, I just want to throw that out there. So Commissioner Krantz.
I was wondering, what about
I mean, it would be probably a pretty small amount. What about some kind of a PR campaign, some kind of a reception, something where the public could come down to brushstrokes, or to maybe have part of downtown, you know, just even if the street was blocked off a little bit, and have local artists come and show their work. Maybe we could have part of the NOFA grant pay for whatever expenses are incurred that way, and just have something kind of different for the community to come out for.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize until they talk to someone who knows that artist what amazing talent we do have in town, and where we see their work and we don't even realize sometimes that we're seeing it. I don't know if anybody would feel like that would be something worthwhile, some sort of a reception, or just a, yeah, just like a public showing.
Yeah. That's something that could also be paired with an event that regularly or annually takes place in town, Feather Fiesta Days or something along those lines, where we already have a large group of residents and out-of-town visitors. So that's a possibility. It could be a private reception that's dedicated to just the artists themselves, maybe even along, like you said, at brushstrokes along the frontage along Montgomery Street. Many possibilities there. So, absolutely.
So, do we have?
This is really what it is. It's a brainstorming and narrow down what you would like that NOFA release to look like. So, another thing that had been discussed in the past was, you'll see Nashville and all those other places doing a big mural on the wall, and it's kind of a photo op wall for when visitors come into town. They share it and they post it on Instagram, and everybody's like, oh, that's great, I want to go there. So that's something, yeah, that's something for consideration as well. We have lots of large blank canvases in the downtown area. So many possibilities.
But I'll let you. A good time if anyone had, you know, we all live here. If there's a place that we've passed by many times and been like, man, a sculpture would be beautiful there, or that wall is just, you know, screaming for a mural, or, you know, just locations that could use a little light and a little bit of art. If you have anything in mind that, just since you live here and we spend a lot of time in certain areas, I think would be, that's one way we could go about it, is picking a specific area and saying, bring us your ideas for this area. We could go that avenue as well. We could go the event avenue. We could go, if you would like, another mural avenue. It's going up to you guys. Just like we said, it's just a brainstorm for you.
Commissioner Rayon.
So I was thinking about the, like Commissioner Krantz was talking about, the interactive and also the mural. So having like an interactive mural, like if there's like, I don't know, if they're fishing, they're holding the fishing pole and the fish is like jumping out of the lake or something. I don't know if you want it to be tied together with something, but if it's downtown, to where they can have an interactive where they're taking a picture in front of the mural or something. I've had people want murals that are more interactive. That's what I've heard.
I know there are some cities that have, like, I think Calaveras County has frog jumping. So they have little frogs that, like a variety of frogs. And I don't know if they do it for photos or whatnot, but, you know, I've never seen them. But I mean, you know, I was always keeping my eye open for ideas.
Yeah.
And so maybe if we came up with something like that, where it's on the wall of all different locations. But what would it be? Would it, you know, some people are kind of like, we're oversaturated with salmon, but, and then gold miners.
Maybe something that could incorporate like panning for gold or something where the mural makes it look like you're doing the panning or something like that, or you find the gold nugget. I mean, it could be all kinds of things that Oroville is known for.
We could have gold pans on the wall and you put stuff in there and people could take and leave. Or sacks of gold that you...
I think it's challenging. Like, one of the things that my husband and I saw a few weeks ago when we were a little further down south in California, but you always have to worry about then what about the vandalism aspect, was in kind of the historic part of San Luis Obispo. They have vintage bicycles, and artists have decorated these vintage bicycles, and they have them in a stationary situation. I'm sure they could be vandalized or they could be removed if somebody really wanted to do that. But that really caught our eye because they were all a little bit different. They had all kinds of themes, and everyone out walking around could see it and pass right by it. It was just a really cute little eye-catching thing.
Yeah.
But then the other side of that is then what about the vandalism aspect, which is unfortunate. So.
Commissioner Goodson.
So I have a question. How soon do you need an answer?
We don't have to have an answer today.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. This is really a brainstorming. If you guys had an answer, then we would get things ready and published. But this, again, sky's the limit pretty much as to what you're looking for. Go ahead.
So at this point, I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
But what this does is give me the time to reach out to the community.
Sure.
For me to individually do a walkabout, not just downtown, but other areas.
Right.
And embracing the whole city.
Absolutely.
So
I think that's a great idea.
am
Yeah.
so I'm really reserved to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
But
So
it's good to know that there is the NOFA and the limit.
Well, and we may end up receiving more funding if we push it out a little more. Hampton Inn and Suites is proposing to pay the in lieu fee, which would be
They
substantial.
have to, right?
And then Dutch Brothers would pay the in lieu fee. Their construction value's less than Hampton Inn and Suites, but nonetheless, it would be in addition to the pot. And then we have other commercial or non-residential developments on the horizon.
Right.
So we're looking at really increasing the funding.
Very healthy.
So there is room for more opportunity if we sit tight.
Thank you.
And the other idea is if we say there's funds available, we leave it open, we'd have some ideas coming back too that we might not have thought of, but
Yeah.
can we bring, or should we just wait and, do some surveys and then,
Well, and we're already 2 weeks later than our normal meeting. So if we wait until our first December meeting and come back with ideas to discuss, then we can go from there and potentially put out a NOFA December, January. And then that would have, let me see, December meeting, February.
You would
Potentially
definitely
March.
have the 10% from the Hampton and
I believe
Dutch
we would.
Brothers.
I would think so.
So there's more opportunity if we take the next 6 weeks, think about it, brainstorm it, engage the community, and then come back with ideas at the December meeting.
we have locations too, like the roundabout or
Absolutely.
a
Our
great
other
suggestion.
parks.
park,
So
Commissioner Rowan?
I've always pictured and wondered how we could get the schools more involved in the students. I always thought of having a project maybe down at the tennis courts where they're painting tennis balls coming through the wall or something. I don't know. There's just a random idea, but I just kind of wonder if there's a way to get the students more involved, just because it'll make them have more pride in their city and want to stay here longer.
Well,
I think
and
that's
with,
a great idea.
and with phase 2 of Hewitt Park, there's an
ha-
opportunity.
And we do have future engagement from the students with the 600-foot wall. So that's going to be ongoing mural after mural for quite a while.
Right. 3 years. Commissioner Beers.
Their ideas, actually. I really like the idea of getting like the kids involved in some way. I really like the gala or like sort of like Met Gala type idea. I think that's a really good idea. I was thinking, you know, maybe we could do something where there's a creative writing contest where kids could write stories or poems and present them, or plays, you know, skits. We could, I'm biased because I'm involved in theater, but maybe, you know, we could have local people that write plays. You know, maybe we could have a play, you know, have some sort of thing where there's a presentation where it could be not only visual art, but performing art and things like that, where it would all come to fold during an event. I think
that's a great
that would
idea.
be really cool. And have it sort of open up to all or all mediums of art and not just murals. It could be writing, it could be visual art, it could be performing art, and just have it be a little more open.
We could even have students recommend art projects because their creativity is a little more innocent than ours, and I think the possibilities could be a little grander from them. So that's an opportunity as well to incorporate their ideas. But
On all levels, well, I would say from middle school up to high school. Something, as you were saying, creativity that could generate some of those young minds and how they think in terms of art.
absolutely. So
So how do we, can we do like a couple commissioners maybe volunteer to work on this and bring ideas or collect our ideas? Or is anybody interested in pursuing that?
I was sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering how can we get the public involved with sharing some of their ideas, or just, you know, if we said we were going to have some kind of a public reception that was going to include different mediums, maybe get some feedback from the public, can we put something out on the city's page or social media? And I wouldn't mind receiving emails or ideas from people in the public about what they would like to see, or, you know, I think people probably have some really great ideas that we don't even know about.
So we have done in the past where, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, where you release a NOFA with, you know, almost no restrictions, and then people bring you their ideas.
Right.
So we could do that if that's what we're looking for, because then we could just start the process of, we have this 40,000, bring us your ideas, bring us your location, bring us your sculpture idea, bring us, you know, with the guideline of we have 40,000 to spend. I think that's what we did a couple NOFAs back.
2016.
Thank you. And I remember that one, we had tons of people interested because it was all aspects of murals. And I think we did have some sculptures. They were, I think they're more expensive than what we wanted to spend, but we did have more materials and more ideas that way. So I'm not sure if that is something you guys are interested in doing, or if you're thinking of like a art show and then bring your ideas to the art show for this NOFA.
I do remember, and I'm glad you touched on that with the sculptures.
Yeah.
I do remember we expressed disappointment that those were so close to exceeding the budget, and we did encourage them, you know, maybe at some future time to bring back some of their ideas, because I think at that time we had discussed that we were kind of focused on murals, but that maybe we needed to expand at some future point, and you know, be open to some other ideas, even if it meant more of the budget.
And I think instead of releasing the NOFA now with a broad, broad opening, I say just a call for ideas. publicize it and have it due by the last week in November. And then we'll give them a good 30 days and see how many ideas we get. We'll present those ideas to the Arts Commission, and then that will prompt more for you guys to think on and any specific ideas that we haven't considered previously for a project.
That's a great idea.
Okay. And it would be great to ask them if they've seen things in other cities, to send some pictures of those things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Call for ideas. Wonderful.
It's like a survey.
Yeah. Can we just do that by consensus, or do you have to?
There's no vote. We just a nod of the heads.
Yeah, since we're not, oh, correct me if I'm wrong, if we're not releasing a NOFA or anything like that, we're not setting in stone the amount or anything like that. We can just kind of do a call for artists / ideas.
Ideas, okay.
I'm not sure if you guys want us just to compile those and bring them back, or if you're wanting them presented to you. We can kind of see what kind of interest we get, and then we can go from there.
So you might want to maybe add the idea of a visual performing arts festival to just kind of stir the pot a little bit more, instead of the traditional things we've been doing. So
okay,
yeah, sounds good.
Good,
thanks.
Okay, I like it. Different.
Yeah. Perfect. So moving on to the report on the art wall.
Yes. So after you received the presentation on the Table Mountain Art Wall from the Rainforest Project, Dan Evers and Leanna, they presented to the City Council as well that they will be moving forward with the project. We have drafted an agreement, a 3-year agreement for that project to move forward. As you'll see, going up Table Mountain Boulevard, the wall itself is constructed. They will be pouring the sidewalk here in the coming weeks, and the Rainforest Art Project has already commenced the development of the 60 panels that will be the mosaic, or each 60 mosaics that will represent the Feather River and all the habitat within it. So the 3-year project will be $150,000 annually, and that's where we proposed the $50,000 from the Arts Fund and then $100,000 from the RDA bond proceeds to cover the other end of that cost. And so that's pretty much where they are at this point. They're going to begin engaging with the schools. They had a table down at the Salmon Festival where they had the community members join in and work on one of the panels. And then, like I said, next they'll be engaging the schools, and they'll be going on from there, creating each panel. They're hoping for 20 panels a year to be completed. So, and then on another note, the Caltrans. Oh, you got it?
Yes, I'll go over it. We just released, we're partnering with Caltrans on, I guess it's what's called. It's called an announcement for requests of transportation art proposals. So it's a TAP. They are looking to do 2-dimensional wildlife silhouettes, preferably in metal. So we're doing a call for artists for those as well. Those art pieces, once selected, will be installed, 162 and Highway 70 interchange and the Highway 70 and Montgomery Street interchange. So we are putting that was just released today, and it's going to run until November 18th. So Friday, November 18th. So it'll be out for a little less than 30 days. And like I said, we're looking for metal sculptures for those areas. And all that information you can find on our city website under our RFP releases, and on our social media right now. We just released it as well. So if you know of anyone that is in the metal industry.
And just for a little more background, this came from the Caltrans Clean California funding project, and we were selected by Governor Gavin Newsom to finish out the landscaping at those off-ramps. So you'll see at the end of Montgomery, before you get onto Highway 70, there's the new landscaping and the old mining carts and things like that. Well, this is to complete the west side of that off-ramp, and then again at Oro Dam Boulevard. So it's really going to clean up our off-ramps as you pull into town. It'll really beautify it. And so those metal silhouettes will be pretty substantially large, but it'll just add a natural artistic flair to those on and off ramps. And so we already published a NOFA and did not receive any submissions. Oh, here, you'll see the rendering for it. So this is what Caltrans is proposing. It is fully funded by Caltrans. We are just the liaison through the city for calling the artists. And so they proposed elk. I'm not sure that the designer was familiar with Oroville.
Yeah, we have a lot of elk.
Yeah.
Buffalo too.
Yes.
That one looks nice. I like that one.
And so they're looking for something along these lines. So we would like to request the help of the Arts Commission in Bama to find artists, metal fabricators that would be interested in applying for this project. What they're asking or what they're providing is about $400,000 for this project, which is a substantial grant to fund it. So,
Do you have a picture of the Oro Dam off-ramp?
Is that this one?
That's the west side.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that would replace our transient / pandering population in that area?
With elk. Hopefully.
Okay.
Can you go back to, I think it was number 2? Okay, and then it shows over in the right column the materials.
They've modified some of the materials, so don't cling to those. Yeah.
Yeah, the calls for the metal sculptures, I believe those have changed. These other materials have changed.
And another one of the slides shows gabion baskets, the metal baskets that have the river rock in them. They have taken that out as well. So they thought that the river rock would be too easily accessible and utilized for vandalism, so they wanted to prevent that. So it'll be more boulders, decorative fencing, and then the sculptures with added drought-tolerant landscape. So
Where it is on the website, just because I had a hard time finding it, is under business and then RFPs.
Oh, great. Thank you.
So business RFPs, and then it's right at the top currently.
So while you had the website up, what are the dates for our Your Voice in the Art nominations due? It's open now, right?
I will have to get back to you on that. I apologize. I don't have those dates in front of me.
For the benefit of the rest of our commissioners, we have 2 awards we could give out each year. It's called the Your Voice of the Arts Award, and one's for organizations, and then one's for individuals. So,
And we typically present that with the State of the City address, and I don't believe that we have set that date yet.
oh, okay. It should be somewhere on.
Yeah, and we present in addition to the Sam Norris Award as well.
Right.
And this year we will also, or next year, also be adding in a historic recognition award that has been developed by the Planning Commission and Historic Advisory Commission.
Cool.
So.
I did give you a little jump drive. I had some photos of the salmon being worked on at the studio.
Oh, wonderful.
I thought I might share that with you while you're.
Let me go. Just 'cause I'm pulling it up.
Give you an idea what the first panel looks like. So.
It's not showing.
Does it need to be the top one?
This PC.
Oh, there it is. Which one?
Should be a
Is
little
it the
file folder.
Is it the first
Is
folder?
This?
That should be it, yeah. Ah. So that's Leanna Lunsford working on, it's a sturgeon. And the idea was, we just put it out there, and as people walk by, they were invited to, to hear pieces and
Nice.
look at those future artists, yeah. That's all I have, it's just I thought you'd get an idea
Great,
what it looked
thank
like.
you.
So that's the very first one, and then the little gal that was with her mom there, that's our teacher for Las Plumas, and her daughter was just intently just putting in pieces as fast as you could go, so you could see how addictive it could be.
I bet.
Yeah. So,
Good job.
yeah. Anyway, that's what we were talking about.
Nice.
And the last one, I understand, the last panel will be completed at the Salmon Festival 2 years from now, since we already have one done. So, and they're also looking for community groups to work on them. I heard the Garden Club was interested, and so it's
Cool.
Yeah, they're building a list of interested parties to assist with the panels.
yeah. So this time we skipped the part about commissioners' reports, but do any other commissioners have things to report about some things you're working on?
Not in the way of art.
Yeah.
Well, I had one question. Where do we post, like when we release those things, where do you post those at?
The
Like the metal thing that you were talking about?
we post it on the city website
Okay.
typically, and we'll usually publicize it on the city's Facebook page as well.
Okay. And as for an announcement, so Birdcage Theater is opening Evil Dead this Friday, and it's going to run the next 2 weekends. It's a musical based on the movie series, so it's sort of a compilation of all 3 movies. So it's sort of spooky and funny and campy and fun, for Halloween. So and yours truly is in the show.
Yay.
So if you want tickets, they are on our website, birdcagetheater.org.
Is that the first show since COVID?
It's the first show in
this will
our
be a
building.
grand
since-
reopening.
Yes. Although since the floors are all covered in plastic for the effects, it doesn't give it as much justice as it will when the floors aren't covered in plastic. But no, it looks really great in there. All the work that everyone's done to get it ready and reopened. So we're super excited.
Great.
And our new recycling coordinator, Damon, is also in the cast.
Yes, Damon's
Yes.
also in the show.
Great, thank you. Have to congratulate Commissioner Rayon on her, almost second, getting up to the first semester of teaching.
Yes, it's exciting.
Our
Thank
teacher.
you. Very fun. Very talented students. Exciting.
Andy?
Okay, so I just had another idea that I think maybe Commissioner Beers could have some good feedback on. When we're talking about maybe incorporating like some one-act shows into some kind of a reception event, what about some kind of a poetry slam, original works, published works? Would that be something that maybe the Birdcage, is there an area where maybe not necessarily on stage or interfering with, but working around some of the one acts? Is that something you would be interested in?
I mean, we would completely be interested in that. And also, I have a pretty good relationship with the people that run the State Theater, and we've actually been discussing doing some projects together, such as like a dinner theater or something like that. So that might be another idea, because we had talked about something like that as well. So yeah, we're on board if
Great.
there's something that you want us to collaborate with, for sure.
Awesome.
I like this brainstorming session at the end. We had a little time, so yeah, it's
Time to process.
We had time to think.
Right.
kind of think. I had one other question. We submitted the resolution to adopt the rights for all kids to arts education. I just wondering what the status was on that. I knew the council had some questions or concerns about the language.
They had concerns about some of the language, and they wanted to remove some of the language. And actually, thank you for the reminder. We will review that with, it was Councilmember Thompson, and we are going to go back through, amend that, and then re-present it to council.
Would it be helpful for maybe one of us to attend the next meeting?
Yes. I thought that we were going to do an ad hoc committee to discuss it. So if there's somebody that the Arts Commission would like to assign to the ad hoc committee, then we can go from there, or schedule a meeting with Vice Mayor Thompson, and then bring back some amendments.
So anybody want to go? Because if you don't, I'll volunteer.
Not I.
So what is it that there is something in the proposal?
It was the language, right?
That can you clarify what that is?
I'll have to go back and refresh myself on the comments that were made.
Okay.
But it might be best for Chairperson Tamori, since you brought this to the Arts Commission and then City Council, to be a part of the committee.
Well, I'll volunteer to do that if no one else wants to. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Okay, I guess that's it. Anything else?
Well, my question was, who originally wrote it? Because I think it would be easier for the original writer to
It was pre-drafted by the Arts.
Okay. And I do know that I saw on the marquee at the state, there's a meeting about this program on November 7th.
Okay. And really what this resolution was in support of the efforts that the Butte County Office of Education is enacting upon. So they adopted their resolution, I believe, 2 years ago. And this was the city showing our support for Butte County's efforts in supporting arts for the youth.
And then also supporting the Any Given Child initiative that addresses the 3 county elementary school districts. So. All right, anything else? I think we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting. And thank you all for coming. It's always a pleasure to